My name is Juliet Dane. I'm 30 years old, a colonel in the United States Army. Tomorrow, I will sit across from my father and brother in a high-stakes defense contract meeting. Only they have no idea that I am the Pentagon liaison with final approval authority. 5 years ago, I left this house without looking back. I was tired of being the disappointment, the daughter who chose military service over business school, over the path they envisioned. My father once told me the Army was for people without real options. That was the last meaningful conversation we had. Tonight, I am back home for family dinner. My mother will talk about Logan's promotion. My father will nod with pride. Someone will ask if I'm still moving around a lot. I won't argue. I won't correct them, because tomorrow, when their boss calls me Colonel Dane in front of a room full of executives, the silence will speak for itself. Let them have tonight. Tomorrow, everything changes. The driveway is narrower than I remembered. My old car used to fit with room to spare. Now, my rented black SUV feels too sharp, too out of place next to my mother's aging minivan. I turn off the engine and sit in silence. The heater hum fades. My palms are dry now, military calm, they would call it, but my stomach still churns like it used to before deployment. The porch light casts a warm yellow glow over the chipped welcome mat and faded front door. Nothing has changed. Not the cracked steps. Not the brown hedges in desperate need of trimming. And certainly not the feeling waiting for me inside a mix of being unseen and hyper-analyzed all at once. I ring the doorbell out of habit. Juliet, my mother calls from the kitchen. She doesn't come to the door. It's open. Of course it is. I push it open and step inside. Same floral scent. Same wall of framed photos. My brother's graduation. His wedding. His 2 boys. No pictures of me in uniform, not even the commissioning portrait I sent 5 years ago. Dinner's almost ready, my mother says, without looking up as I step into the kitchen. Logan and Mariel are on their way. Logan just got another promotion. You'll never believe it. I smile politely. That's great, Mom. You'll have to congratulate him. He's leading the entire systems integration team now. Everyone at your father's company says he's going places. That phrase, going places, used to haunt me. It always sounded like a train I missed. Now, it is just noise. The dining room table is set for 6. No name card, but the seating is implied. Logan at the head, Dad on his right, Mom between them, and me somewhere that doesn't matter. Logan and Mariel arrive exactly on time as always. He wears the kind of blazer that says, "I'm important, but not trying too hard." And she brings a bottle of wine none of us would actually enjoy but would all pretend to appreciate. "Hey, Jules," Logan says as he hugs me briefly, already looking over my shoulder toward Dad. "Long time, 5 years," I reply. He blinks, clearly unsure if I'm joking. I'm not. We eat roast beef, mashed potatoes, and the same side salad Mom has made since I was 10. Logan holds court effortlessly, detailing corporate restructures, performance bonuses, and what his team is doing for the military arm of the company. My father looks like he might cry from pride. "And you?" Mom turns to me, her smile polite but empty. "Still traveling with the Army?" I take a sip of water. "More or less." "Still a captain?" Dad asks, eyes not leaving his fork. "Something like that? Must be tough being in the field all the time," Logan adds. "I mean, no long-term strategy, right? Just following orders." I don't answer. I don't need to. My uniform is still folded carefully in the back of my suitcase upstairs, the silver eagle insignia catching the light through the fabric. Tomorrow, they will learn just how much strategy I am responsible for. For now, I let them talk. It will be the last time they speak over me. I spend most of the evening in my old room, seated on the edge of a twin bed, covered in the patchwork quilt my grandmother sewed when I was 12. The walls are still lined with relics from a version of me they once believed in. Basketball trophies, honor roll certificates, college acceptance letters, every accomplishment prior to the moment I joined ROC. After that, I became a cautionary tale. There are no framed articles about my cybersecurity awards, no photos from deployments, no certificates marking my promotions to major, then lieutenant colonel. The most significant achievement of my life, a full colonel in the U.S. Army Cyber Command at 30, is completely invisible in this home. I remember the day I told them about the ROC scholarship. I expected hesitation, I didn't expect disgust. My father looked at me as if I had thrown myself away. "The military is for people who don't have real potential," he said. "You were always meant for more." He meant his version of more, of course. An MBA, a corner office, ideally a position under his wing at Westbridge Technologies, the same defense firm he gave his life to. It was always supposed to be Logan. And Logan stepped into that mold effortlessly. The family narrative was complete. I wasn't the daughter who chose a different path. I was the daughter who wasted hers. Downstairs, I hear laughter. Dad's deep chuckle. Mom's soft, Logan's booming confidence. The sound of a tribe gathered around a chosen successor. I've grown used to it. But the irony is almost poetic. Logan has just been promoted to lead the systems integration team on the very military contract I now oversee. He doesn't know. None of them do. Tomorrow, at 9 a.m., I will walk into Westbridge Technologies in full uniform, brief the executive board as Pentagon liaison for Project Sentinel, and evaluate the same technical strategy Logan bragged about at dinner. Back in my room, I open my suitcase and pull out the uniform. Midnight blue, pressed to perfection, ribbons and medals aligned precisely. The Colonel insignia gleams beneath the soft light. I check for stray threads and polish the buttons with the cloth I always carry. My hands move mechanically, ritual over emotion. Because tomorrow isn't about revenge. It is about precision, presence, performance. It is about finally letting them see who I have become in a language they cannot interrupt or belittle. The next morning, I arrive at Westbridge Technologies 15 minutes ahead of schedule. The parking lot is already filling with staff in business attire, rushing through security checks with lanyards and briefcases. I pull into the reserved spot marked Military Liaison, DoD Authorized, step out in full uniform, and adjust my collar. Heads turn as I walk past the front checkpoint. Some stare, some stand up straighter, but no one questions why I am there. "Good morning, Colonel," the guard at the entrance says, scanning my badge. His tone is sharp, respectful, the kind of greeting I have never heard in my father's home. Inside, I bypass the reception desk and take the elevator to the executive floor. I have memorized the floor plan weeks in advance. No surprises, no hesitation. When the doors open, the first person I see is Logan. He stands near the hallway window, flipping through a sleek presentation tablet. His posture is relaxed until he sees me step out. He blinks. "Juliet, why are you in—" "What? What is that?" I don't stop. "Good morning, Mr. Dane. I am here for the project review." Behind him, my father's voice echoes before he appears. He is deep in conversation with two men in matching navy suits. Then he sees me and freezes. "Juliet, what's going on? Why are you dressed like that?" he asks, eyes narrowing in confusion. He looks from me to the others in the hallway, gauging their reactions. It is dawning on him too slowly that something is off. Before I can answer, a tall woman with short white hair rounds the corner. Lorraine Hart, CEO of Westbridge Technologies, stops mid-stride when she sees me. Then her expression breaks into a smile. She walks directly toward me and extends a hand. "Colonel Dane, I didn't realize you'd be attending in person." "A pleasure." I shake her hand. "I was in the area. I thought it would be useful to sit in on the briefing myself." "Absolutely. You'll elevate the room just by being here," Lorraine says with a chuckle. Then, turning to the group behind her, "Everyone, for those unaware, this is Colonel Juliet Dane, our Pentagon liaison for Project Sentinel. She has final approval authority for all military integrations on this project." It is like the air gets sucked out of the hallway. I do not look at my father or brother then. I do not need to. Their silence tells me everything. We enter the conference room together. My name is already on a placard at the head of the table next to Lorraine's. I sit down, review my notes, and wait. The team begins filtering in. Directors, engineers, project leads. Each introduces themselves with careful politeness reserved for people who could stall or greenlight millions in funding. Some are surprised I am so young. Most are surprised I am a woman. None ask twice once they see the insignia. Logan and my father come in last. They take seats farther down the table, stiff and quiet. The meeting starts promptly at 9 a.m. Lorraine opens the session, then turns it over to me. As we begin, I'd like to thank Colonel Dane for joining us in person, she says. Her oversight has been invaluable, and her technical guidance has already refined key aspects of our cyber protocol design. I stand, brief the room on current milestones, then outline critical changes I expect implemented before the next round of funding. I make eye contact with every speaker. I ask questions. I request documentation. Then it is Logan's turn. He stands slowly, clearly unsettled. As systems integration lead, I've been developing a new rollout strategy for Phase 2, he begins, voice faltering. I believe it aligns with our performance targets. I wait, arms crossed, letting him finish. Then I speak. Mr. Dane, I say, neutral, professional. Could you clarify how your proposed method accounts for the latency thresholds specified in our last Pentagon memo? He blinks. I can revisit that portion. You'll need to. Our benchmarks are non-negotiable. Please revise the protocol draft and submit it by close of business Thursday. He nods quickly. Yes, ma'am. For a moment, the room is still. Then we move on. I take control of the next discussion item as if nothing happened. But everything has. The meeting ends just after noon. Lorraine wraps up with a few remarks about transparency and collaboration, then turns to me. Colonel Dane will remain on site through tomorrow for follow-up assessments. Please extend full access and support. This project is critical to both national security and our future partnerships. As people begin to file out, I feel eyes lingering not with curiosity anymore, but recognition. My credentials are no longer a mystery. I have earned my seat at the table, and they know it. My father hovers in the hallway afterward, just outside the glass walls of the conference room. He looks like a man who walked into a room expecting applause and found a tribunal instead. Juliet, he says once we are alone, still searching for a tone of authority. We need to talk. I nod. Your office. He hesitates, then gestures down the hall. Inside, the air feels heavier. My mother is already there, seated stiffly in a visitor's chair. Logan stands by the window, arms folded, jaw set. The three of them together. My childhood jury. I do not sit. I stand at ease, hands clasped behind my back. Calm. Unapologetic. You've been a colonel for how long? My father asks finally. 6 months, I reply. 6 months, he repeats hollowly. And you didn't tell us? I did, I say quietly. I sent invitations to my promotion ceremony. Emails, articles. I left voicemails. None of you responded. He opens his mouth, but my mother interrupts. We didn't know what it meant, she says. Colonel, that sounds... Hi, but we didn't understand. Why didn't you explain? Because I stopped trying to justify my worth, I reply. Every time I called, the first question was about Logan's projects or your quarterly numbers. You never asked about me unless it was to suggest I quit the army and come home. We thought you were stuck, Logan says. Like moving base to base, never really going anywhere. I look at him. You said last night that people in the military just follow orders. You laughed while saying it. He shifts uncomfortably. I didn't know you were doing this. You never asked, I say again. My mother reaches for her purse, then pauses. Juliet, I don't know what to say. We should have been at your commissioning, your graduation, all of it. I thought you were pushing us away. No, I say. I just stopped hoping you'd show up. The silence that follows is thick, uncomfortable, but necessary. My father clears his throat. So, what do you want now? Public acknowledgement, an apology, a headline in the company newsletter? I shake my head. I want nothing but what I've always deserved. Respect for my work, for my decisions, for the fact that I didn't fail just because I didn't follow your blueprint. Logan finally steps away from the window. You evaluated my presentation today. And you were fair, he says quieter now. You didn't humiliate me. I wasn't there to, I reply. I was doing my job. He nods slowly. It was impressive. Honestly, you were commanding. It might have been the first genuine compliment I had ever heard from him. My father stands but doesn't move closer. You've built something we don't understand, he says. That's on us. We thought we knew better. We didn't. For the first time, I hear hesitation in his voice, not defeat, but a beginning. He extends his hand, not for show, but in a gesture I recognize from every military promotion I've ever stood through, a quiet offering of respect. "Colonel Dane," he says, voice rough, "I owe you an apology. I underestimated you completely." I take his hand, firm grip, no bitterness, just closure. I accept. My mother blinks quickly, then stands. "We'd like to try again, if you'll let us. One step at a time," I say, and for the first time in years, I believe that might actually happen. 6 months later, my apartment in Washington, D.C. is quiet but full. The open-plan living room overlooks the PTO AC, a clean skyline beyond the windows. My bookshelf holds medals tucked between cybersecurity textbooks and a few framed mission commendations. Not too much, just enough. That night, my family joins me for dinner. My father is the first to arrive, carrying a framed article. "Figured you might want a copy," he says. It is a print feature from a defense journal covering the success of Project Sentinel. My photo is at the center me in full dress uniform, standing beside General Armstrong and Lorraine Hart. He hands it to me like it is fragile. "I've had this up in my office for a few months now," he adds, eyes not quite meeting mine. "Thanks, Dad," I say. "It means something." My mother follows a few minutes later, holding a warm pie tin with both hands. "Apple," she says with an awkward smile. "Still your favorite, right?" "It is." She glances around the apartment. "So clean. So organized. I don't know how you keep it like this." I almost reply with a joke, military habit, but decide against it. She is trying. It doesn't need commentary. Logan and his wife come last, bringing an expensive bottle of wine and a strange kind of ease I didn't expect. After dinner, as the dishes clink in the sink and conversation drifts toward quiet praise, Logan pulls me aside. "I implemented the rollout structure you mentioned," he says. "The team didn't love it at first, but it works better than what we had." "Did you tell them where you got it?" He grins sheepishly. Eventually, after I let them believe I was a genius for about 5 minutes, I smirk. "As long as it's working." He nods. "It is. And so are you. I mean, you've really got it together. I don't think I ever said that." "No, you didn't. Well, I'm saying it now." Across the room, I see my father examining the medals on the shelf. His eyes pause over one in particular. The cyber defense citation for counteracting a foreign breach that almost crippled 2 federal networks. "I read about that one," he says quietly. "Didn't realize at the time you were leading it." "I was," I answer. He doesn't add more. He just nods. It isn't a parade. It isn't a movie ending, but it is real, and that makes it better. Later that evening, over coffee and my mother's pie, my father raises his glass in a quiet toast. "To Colonel Juliet Dane," he says, "who proved that your worth isn't found in following someone else's path, but in walking your own." We all raise our glasses. I look around that room and see something I never saw growing up. Recognition. Not pity, not tolerance, but the kind of earned respect that no one can take back. In that moment, I know something important. The victory wasn't in them finally seeing me. It was in the fact that even if they hadn't, I still would have kept going. I thought I needed their approval, that someday, if I worked hard enough, they'd finally see me. But the truth is, I didn't need their recognition to be real. I was already enough. Walking into that boardroom in uniform wasn't revenge. It was quiet clarity. I didn't need to explain who I was. My presence did that for me. They once told me I was wasting my potential, that I'd never become anything, and yet, there I stood, leading the very project they had built their careers on. That moment didn't heal everything. It didn't erase the past, but it did something better. It proved that I never needed to follow their path to create value. So, if they underestimate you, let them. Keep building, keep rising, and when the moment comes, show up fully, calmly. Because the strongest proof isn't what you say, it's who you've quietly become. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed this story.